Hello, can you hear me okay? Hello, friends, how are we? How are we doing today? I hope you're having a good day. Hopefully, you can hear me okay too. Well, let me know if you can or you cannot hear me. Hopefully, you can. Let me see. Ooh, I hate touching so many things, but it is literally my life. Hey, Ginger's here. Girl, I love your show. Good job. I am wearing BT dubs. Thank you also for people who have been very kind in talking about my makeup choices for these episodes. I have an actual reason to wear makeup every Thursday, so that makes me very, very happy. But I am wearing. Sorry, I'm trying to get everywhere so I can make sure I have some idea of what's happening. I'm wearing the Selena collection from MAC today on my mouth hole because I love Selena and they just released their whatchamacallit, their thing with her. I can't even remember what it's called. Their collab. There we go. Like, what the hell am I talking about? Their collab with her. So I wanted to support them, support Selena because she is one of my idols and I love her. So hello, Ginger. Hi, Miss AZ and Raven. Miss AZ in Chicago, which I thought was hilarious because I thought you were from Arizona. But now I know what it stands for, so it's different. I hope you guys got your goodie packs. BT, I think so. If you didn't, let me know and we'll get you some. So today I'm going to talk about the last episode, which was on Cherish Periwinkle. And that case was really, really hard for me to think about covering. So I remember when it kind of initially came out and Don Smith's trial was going on. And I was really kind of, I kind of treat it the same way as the, whatchamacallit? I don't know. I never see my live stuff anymore. But as the Adrian case, that little boy whose family, like his stepmom and his father, like beat him and tortured him and fed him to pigs and things like that on their farm. So it was kind of the same feeling. Like I'd wanted to tell Adrian's story, but I talked to a lot of my friends who do true crime as well. And they were just like, no, we're not going to touch it. And so I was like, okay, yeah, if they're afraid of touching it, I'm for sure not going to touch it. So I just wanted to, put it out there that's kind of where I was with the case on deciding to cover it. But ultimately, I decided to cover it. One, because there was a lot of, sorry, I'm trying to figure out this live stream business. I suck at it, apparently, so my bad. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to do it, but ultimately I decided to do it because I knew that I wasn't going to focus on the details of how Cherish was murdered because it's really graphic. It's extremely awful. And, when I was watching the testimony on the Law and Crime Network, I believe, it was really heart-wrenching to see a professional like Dr. Valerie Rao, who does these cases all the time, be emotional on the stand. And so as you're watching her kind of go through everything in detail, the autopsy and, kind of what those injuries mean and meant for Cherish, you kind of are like, oh, this is awful. And I couldn't imagine being on that jury, hearing, this terrible thing happening and, having to look at photos of this because they did try to get the photos, autopsy photos of Cherish suppressed because they thought that it was too intense and too vulgar. But ultimately, they decided that it needed to stay in. So I'm glad they did that. So this crime, if you're not familiar with it or if you haven't listened to the latest episode, I would encourage you to do that because it goes into a lot more detail than we likely will on this live stream. But basically, oh, there I am. Okay, well, at least I'm on that platform. So basically, this happened back in 2013. So it's almost going to be 7 years. So June 21st, 2013 is when Rain Periwinkle took her 3 children to a Dollar General store to go shopping for Paris because she was due to leave to California the next day to go on her mandated visits with her father. Rain and her father, Rain and her father, whose name is Billy, were never married. They basically had a one-night stand, and that's how Cherish came to be. And he really wasn't a part of Cherish's life until I think she was about 3 years old, when Rain attempted to get some type of welfare, either like food stamps or something else. And so in order to get that, Cherish had to have paternity done. And so Billy began doing and paying child support. So anyways, it's Friday night and I forget the time, but I know that it's late. I think it's around like maybe 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And Rain has no car, right? She doesn't have a cell phone. And she's taking her 3 young daughters. So 2 of them are toddler age. And then you have Cherish, whose age now I am blanking on. I think 7. Wow. Hold on. I need to know because I feel like I should know that. And I'm like a dummy. I'm like, how did I just forget this? 8. There we go. So I don't know how I forgot that. It was literally in my note and I missed it. Okay. So she has her 3 daughters. And for me, I'm like, I couldn't imagine. And I don't know, you guys, it's hard for me from a perspective of not being a parent to question. Do you hear these mufflers in Texas, you guys? To question. Hi, Liz. Thank you. It's okay. I wasn't here last week, so you didn't miss anything. I had my little baby niece because her mom had to go out of town, so we had to watch her, and that's what we did. Anyway, so we had to. Oh wait, that's what you're saying. I get it. I'm so sorry. I'm a dunce, dude. Okay, so it's hard for me to really think about the choices that Rain made while she was, hello, Erin. It's hard for me to think about the choices that Rain made with her children that night. Multiple times I question the choices that she made, and she's a victim in this as well. So I never, ever want to come across as victim shaming in any way, but it is concerning. And I wonder if you guys share those same concerns after knowing, how everything turns out. Of course, hindsight, is 2020, but would you have made those choices even with your own kids? Would you? I don't trust people, probably because of what I do. So I would have never trusted him around me or my kids, just very randomly. And I get that people are thoughtful and considerate and are nice and want to do nice things, but it just seemed really odd to me that happened. So the story goes, she was in Dollar General looking around. She only had a certain amount of money to get Cherish a new dress and to pay for the cab for Cherish to go to the airport the next day and to get herself back home. So she's in Dollar General. She picks out a few things, realizes, she's not going to have enough for the cab, and then puts some things back. And so Dawn sees that, and Rain goes outside to figure out, I guess, what to do or where the girls and her are going to go next, if they're going to go home or what. So Dawn ends up asking the cashier, like, hey, what was that about? Why did she put something up? And she was like, oh, she didn't have enough money. So he offers, as he goes outside to smoke a cigarette, he offers and is like, hey, I'll take you to Walmart if you want to. I have a gift card there and I don't mind. Oh my God, these mufflers. in Texas are ridiculous, you guys. So crazy. Oh, by the way, cheers, everyone. I'm so sorry. Today I am drinking Svedka cherry vodka with some diet cranberry juice because the regular cranberry juice is too sugary. Cheers. And I followed Miss A's usual because I've been waking up at like 3 a.m. every single day this week. I don't know what it is. I literally go to bed on time, what I consider to be on time for me. And I wake up at 3 o'clock. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to finish my coffee and just live my life. You know, I'm going to wake up anyway. So who cares? So that's where I'm at. Make sure you share with me what you're drinking today too, or tonight too. So anyways, so he goes up to Rain and he's like, hey, I'll take you to Walmart. I have a gift card. And she responds how I would expect a person to respond, which is to say like, no, I don't take bribe from strangers. Thanks, whatever. Like, you're being polite, I guess, you know. And he's like, oh, well, no worries. My margaritas, we had some of those too. And we still have some left. And wine. I have a whole box of Wink wine I haven't even opened yet, you guys. Ridiculous. So I don't get it. I don't know if the idea that his wife was going to be there made it okay for her or gave her a sense of ease. But of course, then the weather kind of turned and it started raining. So she, accepted the ride to Walmart, likely to not have to walk in the rain. And she takes her two girl, takes her three girls and stuff. And I'm like, yes, we know what happened to Cherish, but it could have been a million times worse. And that Rain could have lost her life. And then all three of her daughters could have lost her life that night by just accepting the ride. Like, he could have easily done whatever he wanted to do by, disabling Rain. And then, I can't even imagine the kind of stuff he would have gotten into with the three of them. I just can't. So to me, that was such a risky move to make with your children with you, because I don't know, like I said, I'm not a parent. So I automatically assume that parents will act in an overabundance of caution. And so I feel like, they wouldn't just say, oh, okay, fine. So I don't know if it was the lure of being able to get Cherish something or what. And plus the time, like, I'm like, it's almost 10 o'clock, you guys, like, that's crazy. It's like almost 9 first. And then by the time Cherish goes missing, it's 10. So she accepts the ride. They get there and they start looking around at Walmart. If you get on YouTube, you'll be able to see the surveillance videos of Rain and Cherish and the other daughters walking around, and Dawn kind of just straggling along in the background. And Rain is filling up the cart and she's kind of asking, or it looks like she's asking, questions to Dawn. And he says that she's asking, like, oh, where's your wife? And he's like, oh, I don't know. Who knows where this crazy lady's at? And I'm just like, I can't. It's really, really, really hard for me to understand Rain's thought process behind this. Because listen, I've been poor before, okay? I've been on welfare, the works. And I get the enticement that getting things brings you. But I don't know that would entice me so much to put my life in danger and then my kid's life in danger. It boggles my mind, I guess. And I hate kind of sounding like a broken record or sounding like I'm blaming her, because I am not. I just don't understand the thought process behind it. And she even says herself, like, she was naive in thinking that. And maybe that's what it was, is that she's naive, in thinking that. And so Cleverina, sorry, said that what Rain did was not a good example for her girls either. And Aaron said that I can't imagine putting myself alone in a situation like that, much less with my kids. People are too scary. I agree. So that's what I'm saying. And my mom and my grandma are solely responsible for me being the paranoid person that I am, with being terrified that people were going to kidnap me. So, I'm like, I don't get it. So anyways, they're walking around Walmart. And Dawn starts to do really odd things that I would think send up red flags. And you're like, well, this guy's kind of sketch. Let's not do it. So he picks out some shoes that are like little wedges or little heels that would belong more so with like a teenager, like a 15, 16-year-old, as opposed to a 8-year-old little girl. And he's like, oh, you should get these for her. And she's just like, no, I don't think that would be appropriate. And I'm like, okay, that's a polite response. Now I get why the ladies at My Favorite Murder say, don't be polite or whatever. I don't know their tagline. I forgot it just now. Fuck politeness or something like that. So yeah. And then she also says, oh my God, you guys, she also says that he took Cherish alone to the dressing room a few times. Now, granted, some dressing rooms are manned by people, and so they would probably notice if an older man went into the room with a young girl. But given the time that it is, it's 9 o'clock, I've never known a Walmart dressing room to ever be. Do they even have dressing rooms at Walmart? I don't even know. I've never known a opened late store to have a well-stocked, well-manned dressing room. So, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, they do. Okay, so yeah, I was like, am I thinking of this right? So, yeah, they're not really like manning the dressing room like you see, in certain stores where they have locks on them and they write your name on the door. It's a freaking Walmart. Like, they're not going to do that. So I don't understand it. I get being naive, but I don't know that that's truly being naive, because we didn't go into too much detail about this because it was kind of hard to get into it. But Rain thought of herself as a clairvoyant who would get premonitions about things happening. And so she had talked previously in the past, before Cherish was kidnapped and murdered, that this was going to happen to her, that she had seen visions or had thoughts or dreams that Cherish would die at 8 or before she turned 8, and that she was very so she was very sensitive and hyper focused on the fact that her children would be molested at some point. And as far as we know, that Cherish was at some point abused by a family member. It wasn't her father. I think it was one of Rain's boyfriends. And then Billy Giroux himself also was convicted of crimes against a minor. So I would think that if you have premonitions like that, I'm not obviously knocking anybody who feels that they can predict things or see things or anything like that. But if you have premonitions like that, I would think again that you would see, I sound like a broken record. It's driving me crazy. Because I'm like, again, you would think that, to avoid situations like that. Same thing with the fact that Cherish had already been abused in the past by people that Rain knew. So I would think she'd be a little bit more vigilant about that. But again, I don't know the thought process behind it. And I also don't know kind of what her mindset was at the time, because I'm sure she was focused on getting something for Cherish so that she would look nice for her dad and things like that, or that it wouldn't seem like she wasn't taking care of Cherish, because I know how custody things go. And, those are those situations that parents can put themselves in. So at some point close to 10 o'clock, Don decides that he's hungry. Now, his side of the story will later change. And he says that immediately upon entering the store, Rain's getting terse with the girls, the younger girls, and hitting them to try and calm them down, which I think as a parent, does not work. So I didn't see anything like that on the surveillance tape. So I would say that I don't see that to be true. But anyway, so he says that he begins shaking and he becomes manic and he's like, oh crap, I got to get out of here. But I'm going to feel so terrible because she's probably going to want to ride home. And I want to leave because I shouldn't be around these kids because he knows his past. And so he makes up an excuse. Again, his perspective. He makes up an excuse to get some food from McDonald's. And Rain's like, okay, cool, go get your food, whatever. And so he begins to walk away and he's going to make his Irish goodbye and, just kind of head out. And he says that Cherish follows him and, basically is like, hey, I'll go with you. And he's like, no, you should go ask your mom. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I just want to come with you. I don't think so, guy. Like, I don't know. He was telling his mom that and cameras that were focused in his cell. But I'm like, I don't think so. So what they believed happened was, and from what Rain said, was that Dawn had said, I'm going to go get some burgers if you guys are hungry. And she said, yeah, that'd be great. The girls are hungry. And he asked Cherish if she wanted to come with him. And Rain gave the okay to go. So she knew that Cherish was going to go to McDonald's with Dawn. Again, I don't care that we're in a store. You're not going to be taking my kid anywhere solo dolo, So Dawn's perspective is that he's basically saying, and which all like pedophiles do this, they all blame a child for coming onto them. And that's basically what he was saying that Cherish was trying to do, that he was attempting to ignore her advances of him. And I'm like, she's 8 years old. She doesn't even know anything about that. So anyway, they are seen on tape walking towards McDonald's and then exiting the store. And Cherish is following him. But that's because she believes that they're going to go get food, not that she's about to die. And so Dawn puts her in his van and he takes off. So he leaves the store. There was store security kind of close to his van, which kind of also amped him up a little bit. And so that's why he was like, oh, I got to bounce. So he ends up taking Cherish to a wooded area by a Baptist church. And he does his evil deeds there, if you will, and leaves Cherish's body there. They are sure, yes, the McDonald's was in the Walmart. So he could have gone to that Walmart, but I think he had somehow convinced, or maybe didn't even tell Cherish, I don't think she was paying attention because she's freaking 8 years old and she's getting, a free burger. So I don't think that, or a free Happy Meal. Like, I don't really think that she was paying attention to be like, oh, hey, Walmart's over there. He could have been like, oh, they're closed. We have to go to this other Walmart. Your mom said it was okay. It's a kid thing. Like, that's why they have us as adults, so that we can help them. So he leaves Cherish's body there, covered under some brush by a tree, kind of pushed up against a tree. And he stays there for a little bit because he's discarding some things, like evidence, basically, of the incident. And he begins driving around. So while that's going on and while he's doing what he's doing to Cherish, on the loudspeaker in Walmart, they start saying like, hey, we're about to close, blah, blah, blah. And Rain is so distracted with her two girls that she's like, oh, crap, like Cherish isn't back yet. So she goes looking at the McDonald's. They're not there. Then she starts freaking out a little bit and tells the employees like, hey, my daughter's missing. And they try calling for her over the loudspeakers, nothing. And so she's like, I need to call the police. I need to report them missing. Mind you, again, no cell phone for her. So she doesn't have a way to personally, call them. So the Walmart allows her to use their phone, or an employee allows her to use their phone, and they get on the phone with 911. So in the podcast, you find out that the 911 operator and then the eventual detective on site handled Cherish's disappearance, or rather mishandled Cherish's disappearance. They failed to state that Cherish was abducted. They only put that she was missing, and they failed to put that she was abducted. And they also failed to issue an Amber Alert on time and notify NEMIC about her disappearance. So a lot of things, while we can say like, yes, you know, it may have changed things for her or it may have saved her life, we don't really know that. And they were all on the police enforcement side, they were all kind of dealt with respectively with either, you know, leaves of absences and investigations and things like that. So I thought that at least was good, that there was some investigation into their conduct and to the investigation and how it failed, Cherish specifically. So they put out eventually a few hours later. I know watching the videos, if you have an opportunity, I would check out the videos on YouTube to see kind of the surveillance videos of them kind of going into Walmart and walking around, because you're just like, she has no clue. Like none of them have any clue except Dawn about what's happening or what's about to happen. And the foreboding is just terrible. So the detective gets on site. They eventually end up issuing the Amber Alert and saying like, oh, Dawn, because they look at the surveillance video and they see the white van. So they're able to tie it to Dawn, who's a known sex offender. And that's what they put out the BOLO for Cherish, Dawn, and for the white van. So a bystander who's passing by the church that Dawn pulled his van into the brushy area saw it, called police and said, hey, I think this is the van you're looking for. And they go, he's not there anymore, but they collect evidence from that site. But then they end up finding him on the highway, pull him over, and he gets out and is fine. Now, he tells his mother after he's locked up and awaiting his trial that he tells his mom, like, hey, I was planning on going out suicide by cop, but I couldn't do that knowing that I wouldn't be able to say bye to you. So I wanted to say bye to you one last time before I did that. And I'm like, how gracious of you. Like, thanks, you know. Although I'm glad he didn't go out that way, because I truly think that he deserves to have justice. I don't think he should have gotten the death penalty, because, you know, I kind of would rather have prison justice work on that instead of him getting exactly what he wanted, because he did want the death penalty and he did want to be on death row because he wanted to be segregated and protected, because he knew that he would not be in Gen Pop because of the nature of his crime. So he's arrested and his rap sheet is like forever long. And Rain finds out like, oh crap, like he was a sex offender this whole time. We had no idea. And I mean, of course, how are you going to know, right? You can't scan somebody and be like, you're a sex offender. Cool. You know, you can't exactly do that. So he has a long, long history of committing all types of crimes, from burglary, theft, and crimes against children, and exposure and things like that. And so he did go to prison, but then of course he's released and, you know, put out back onto the streets. Now he was only out for, I think, 23 days. I can't remember. It was 23 or 43 days. He was out on probation or parole, and then he committed murder. So it's just like, how do you prevent these things from happening, you know? So let me find out, because I think it was like he was only out for, sorry, my notes are all scattered. Yeah, I think he was only out for like less than 2 months before he had committed this crime. So he was already kind of out stalking, if you will. Now, when this case starts getting ready to go to trial, there's a lot of delays because it's, you know, the trial. That's what happens in the court system. Yeah, okay, so he was released from prison 3 weeks before Cherish was murdered. And he was supposed to be jailed. Or more to let. He was supposed to be jailed initially for 20 years, but then he got a plea deal and reduced it down to 2 years. So that's why he was able to get out so quickly. He would have otherwise been behind bars for 20 years, but he was offered a plea deal and took it. So And that's mostly because the mom of the kid in that last crime, not Cherish's mom, Rain, but another child, didn't want her daughter to have to testify. So they didn't technically have a lot of evidence to go off of. And that's why he was offered the deal. So there's also these tapes that the county prosecutor bugged his cell with, or cameras that they bugged his cell with. And he's talking to his mom in this really like whisper tone, like, but you can hear everything he's saying. So it's pointless for him to be whispering. But he's basically telling his mom that this wasn't my doing. Like, Cherish was the one who came with me. And I kept trying to tell her, like, no. And you know what? This is actually Rain's fault, because she should have never, accepted anything from me. Like, you're kind of dingy. Like, that's what he tells his mom, is like, I was trying to help and be a nice guy, and it backfired on me. That's what happened. This little 8-year-old girl just had to come at me. So he tells his mom again during those videos that he wants the death penalty, because he can't afford to be in Gen Pop, because they'll rape him and he'll want to die and he'll want to kill himself. And, he'd rather just be on death row so that he can just get a shot in the arm, go to sleep, tell her he loves her, and that's it. And I like how he never says, and tell this family I'm sorry, whatever, because it's obvious. It's very clear. He was caught the very next day after he kidnapped and murdered Cherish. He was caught the very next day and arrested. So it wasn't like Cherish was gone for 3 weeks and, missing, and they were searching for her. It was pretty quick succession of when these events happened. So it couldn't have been anybody else, and when he was arrested, he didn't want to tell them where Cherish was. And it was like, dude, we kind of already know. And then they ended up finding her. Now, if you watch any part of the trial, you'll see that he does this weird thing with his mouth. It's like a nervous tick. He's like chewing something. But he doesn't give a shit at all in the trial whatsoever. Like, if you are listening to Dr. Rao or any of the detectives, or even Rain sitting there talking about how she was fooled by this person, he just sits there like, I don't care, dude. I hope I get the death penalty. That's all I want. And then that's what he got. His defense team didn't do anything to support him or anything like that, because they couldn't really offer a defense. So they just didn't. It's the burden of proof is on the state anyway. They had a airtight case to me. And that's that. But the way that Rain and her father and other people in Cherish's life kind of described her made it seem like, she had this really awesome, really great childhood, and Don like snatched her away from it. And it was so tragic and so, upsetting, which is true. It is tragic. It is upsetting that, he took this little girl who was completely innocent in all of this and decided to do what he did. Now, Cherish didn't have the ideal life of what somebody would expect upon hearing those victim impact statements that her mother gave, and that other family members gave, and that her father gave through an attorney. Rain had mental health issues and still has them. She suffers from bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, and depression and anxiety. And her and Cherish were homeless for a time, and they spent time in a homeless shelter. And there were a few occasions where she had rough handled Cherish, and so had Billy. Whenever Cherish would go visit him, he had left a mark on Cherish. And same for Rain. One of her boyfriends had left a mark on Cherish. And then of course, Cherish had been abused. So let me see. So Rain also had an older daughter, which she would later find out in the trial. She had an older daughter who ended up moving back home to Australia. And if you hear Rain talk, she sounds like she's constantly stuffed up, but she does not have an Australian accent. So I thought that was really interesting, because they were telling me like, oh, she's from Australia. And I'm like, what? Okay. So of course, people have opinions. Okay, so spoiler alert, Don's found guilty, sentenced to death, and is currently on Florida death row, which is too good for him, but whatever. So Rain's daughters are all living with her sister in Australia. None of them live with her currently. They were all taken from her by DCFS. She just couldn't get her life together enough for them, and they probably are better off right now. And she felt like the public was going to judge her and the public was going to attack her for the decisions that she made that day. And I think that's fair to think that and to know that. But she went on kind of a press tour. Like she went on Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, and she took a drug test and a lie detector test to basically say like I had nothing to do with this, because the rumor was that she did know Don Smith and that she my little pup's trying to get in here, that she knew Don Smith and that she was trafficking Cherish for $50. Hold on. Trying to see if my husband will let my doggy in so you can see him because he's so cute. But basically that she was trafficking Cherish for a $50 gift card to Walmart. And you know what? I've seen the stories. I've seen the headlines where mothers have trafficked their children for a lot less. Like what Manson's mom did it for a case of beer. So, okay, I could see it, but there was no evidence. Hello, little boy. There was no evidence to suggest that she actually did know him. Come here, come say hi to your loving public. This is Squirt. He's a handsome boy. He's a very excited, handsome boy. Say hi to everybody. We need a palate cleanser. Who needs Best Fiends when we have you? Hey, look at him. Look over here. Okay. Say bye to everybody. Go lay down. Anywho. He's the cutest. Okay. So I don't know. I'm anxious to hear what you guys think. So I'm going to open up the broadcast. If anybody wants to join and offer your opinions on Cherish Periwinkle's case. Obviously, I think it's a terrible case. And it was really hard to think about doing. I'm glad we did it because it kind of opens a discussion up about predators and the fact that, our laws are a little lax for them. And it can create situations like this where they have, and they have opportunities like this, unfortunately, to create a lot of harm and a lot of sorrow for people from an impulse that they have. It's really sad. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what you guys think about this whole situation and kind of what your thoughts are about the whole thing. So Cleverina says that she heard about the selling part and she doesn't know, she can't believe it. Also, if she was bipolar, it could explain her recklessness. That's true, right? So maybe it's like an impulse thing, which I think that some of her, actions can kind of explain that. I don't know. Like I don't think I know anybody who has bipolar disorder or even borderline personality. So I really don't know what that demeanor is like. And, I don't want to like generalize it and say like people who are bipolar are bad parents, because I obviously don't think that, but I don't know, I don't know how that affects them, in terms of making decisions. And that could explain why she was investigated by DCFS so much. Of course, there was reason to, with some of the abuse that was going on and the things that social workers saw and people working in the homeless shelter saw. So, it is kind of interesting to think about and to see if like maybe that was the case. So I don't know, you guys. Oh, also, we unofficially went weekly. I'm not saying anything about it technically on the show because I don't know how long we'll be able to keep it up. I'm hoping for a long time, but, I don't know. So, yeah, let me know. My mom says no sound. Hello, fresh. You can't hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, then it's just my mom. Figures. I know I keep saying my mom's going to be on here at some point, and she really is, but she goes to bed like crazy early. So we got to plan it out so we can do it, and tell you the story about how my uncle did not murder somebody. You know, when you know the story, you're going to be like, I don't know. Okay, everybody believes he didn't do it. So it's just a joke that I say to get everybody riled up. I don't really think he did it. I'm just kidding. Okay. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So we went weekly last week. So we released Cherish last week. We're coming back next week and the weeks after that. We'll see how it goes. We basically just want to see if it changes anything for the show, if it helps, or if it's too much work for nothing. I don't know. I've never done a weekly show. I don't know how people do weekly shows by themselves. I'm so thankful that I have a team. So shout out to Brittany, to Nico, to Susie, to Mary. It sounds like a lot, but truly, like if you try to keep up, it's insane. I don't know how those shows do that with everything, like editing, researching, all that stuff. Oh my God. Brings me back to the days, you guys. And I will always value that because I know at any point I could lose it all and I'd have to do it again, which I would because I would never give up podcasting. But my God, it's kind of nuts. So I don't know. Oh, there was a case I did want to talk about that happened recently that was on my mind. The Vallow case, I think Charlie's talking about, which I hate that she's on at the same time I am because I am always fascinated by the things she chooses to talk about. So it's a little annoying that she chose that time, but it is what it is. Healthy competition never hurt anyone. Let me see. Oh yeah, about it's about freaking time. Ahmaud Arbery, that guy who was jogging 2 months ago and was murdered in the middle of the street. Are you kidding me? It took a lot. I didn't want to watch it. I get so sensitive to racial injustice issues, you guys. It's sad. It makes me really sad because I'm a person of color, right? And I see myself as Mexican. I know that I'm Mexican. I know that I am brown. But I grew up in a neighborhood predominantly white. I have predominantly white friends. I live in a predominantly white town. It's just the nature of where I'm born, right? I didn't really have a choice. But I've faced racism in my life, and I'm always shocked by it. I'm always surprised by it, I guess, because I can't fathom the thought of somebody looking at me and being like, oh, you suck because you're brown or you're Mexican and you're probably an immigrant or something like that, or you don't have your papers. And I'm like, I don't know. It just boggles my freaking mind. And then the fact that this comes out way after his murder has happened, because that's what it is. It's a murder. And that these two dudes just walking around since February with no type of justice, with no murder, like they have no grounds whatsoever to have shot and killed this man, even if they suspected that he was committing a theft or a robbery or whatever. It makes no freaking sense. Like, you don't have the right to do that. We don't have citizen police officers with guns and arresting rights because of that. Could you imagine the havoc if we allowed people to do that? It just doesn't make sense. So I was really pissed off because I just heard about it this week. I've seen this guy's picture all over Instagram and Twitter, and I was like, what's the story here? And okay, so if you don't know, oh my God, it's so frustrating. So it's Ahmaud Arbery, and basically what happened is, let me see. He was jogging around a neighborhood just outside of Brunswick, New Jersey. And there's two guys who call the police and say, we grabbed our guns. They get into their truck and they get into their truck going after him because they thought that he was the person responsible for several burglaries in the area. Mind you, he is jogging in the neighborhood. So if I'm responsible, you think I'm going to jog in the same neighborhood that I just stole from? Oh my God. There's somebody who's taking a video of this thing, and they basically like approach him Klan style. I hate to say it because they're like in the back of the truck with their shotguns. And I'm like, a shotgun, really? And they say, I think one of them had like previous law enforcement experience. And so that's what they felt justified them to do it, to kind of come after. So he said, yeah, they basically said like they had some type of law enforcement background. And so that gave them the inclination to do the right thing, which was to obviously murder a black man in cold blood while he was jogging on the street. The fuck? You know? And then the fact that they didn't arrest them. I don't know how that makes any sense. I don't get it. Because I can guarantee you, if the colors were turned, that dude would be in jail. There'd be people rioting for the death penalty for him killing an innocent white man in the street. It doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. So it just would be complete opposite. It just shows, it's so sad that it just shows things like that. Tell me. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something. But, so no, it's okay. So I found out just recently, actually. Oh, shoot. Oh, snap, you guys. Okay, look at me ranting about something on trend. They've arrested the guys. A little too late, but at least they did. They just arrested the Georgia Bureau of Investigation has arrested Gregory and Travis McMichael. So I think it was like a son and father. And they charged them with murder and aggravated assault. Thank God. Yeah, okay, so it was. Gregory McMichael was 64, and his son, Travis McMichael, 34, you're so freaking stupid, have been arrested and charged with murder and aggravated assault for the February shooting of 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery. That is wonderful. Okay, well, at least they got arrested. I mean, a little too late, I think, but at least it's been done. But yeah, I was really shocked by that whole thing because I'm not shocked that a black man was killed in the middle of the street in broad daylight for nothing other than just being black and literally being in the street. But maybe I shouldn't be shocked about that either. I don't know. About them not being arrested. I don't know what to think about that. It's sad. It's really sad. I have family in law enforcement. And so I have family in law enforcement, and I have family that doesn't trust law enforcement, even though their child is, and their sister is a police officer. So I think that's really interesting. And I mean, it's because in the town that I grew up in, which is Plano, there was a lot of discriminatory practices with the Plano police and targeting youth. My brother was one of those people who was basically, what was that thing called whenever cops would look at you and be like, oh, you're Mexican, you're probably in trouble, so I'm going to go ahead and see what's happening with you. I forgot what that antiquated term is. Racial profiling. Thank you. Yeah, they did that too. And I'm just like, I don't get it. But yeah. Oh, you guys, it burns my butt. Hotter than a chilada. It's called being a fucking racist. Amen, sister. That's exactly what it is. And they're basically being okay with it. Like, oh, you know what? It's okay because we're doing it to protect the public from people, you know? And that's what we do. Protect the public from black people and brown people. So stupid. Anywho, that's my rant for today. I'm really glad that they got arrested, you guys. I am very happy about that. Next week's episode, I have no idea what it's about. in terms of the Get Vocal stream. So if you guys have a subject, please tell me, and I will research it and we'll talk about it. I want to make this as interactive as possible and figure out why it's not working on Facebook for me, but it is working on YouTube, which is gnarly. But I don't know. And I thank you guys for joining. So remember, I keep looking here, I think the camera's here and the camera is here. Remember, if you join and subscribe to Get Vocal and you subscribe to our channel, you can also get a goodie pack. All you have to do is just send me a screenshot of you subscribe to True Crime Fan Club on Get Vocal, and I'll send you some stickers and some other fun stuff, maybe keychains and other fun things. So you can send it to me on any of my social media channels, TCFC Pod on Twitter, True Crime Fan Club Pod on Instagram, and then you can find True Crime Fan Club on Facebook, and you can email me, tcfcpod@gmail.com. If you already listened to the show, thank you so much. You will be able to see all of that contact information on our show notes. So you can just click from there. If you use your email on your phone like I do, it'll just open up a screen and it'll be wonderful for you. And you'll get fun little goodies. And I'm also going to be doing giveaways soon. We have a wonderful listener here in Dallas that has a little business. And my cousin also has a business that's very similar. But they make little tumblers, like Yeti tumblers. So I'm going to be giving away some True Crime Fan Club tumblers and my paranormal tumblers as well. And I am also going to be doing a live stream eventually for my paranormal show for It's Haunted, What Now? So I will have people going on and sharing their ghost stories. So if that's something you're interested in, I do that show as well. And you are welcome to join. Let me see. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I think that's it, you guys. I don't even know. That's it. I need to figure out my freaking thing here. And hey, oh yeah, send me your address. I just got your Twitter message. Look at you guys being all productive. Let me see. Oh, shoot. I forgot to. Okay, so next week I'm going to wear something on my face that'll make you laugh. It made me laugh. I don't know, you guys. I'm going to give you your time back because coming up, you have a lot of wonderful people on the 8 p.m. slot, and some of my favorites are going to be there, namely Josh Hallmark from True Crime Bullshit. He is going to be there giving his live stream on the latest episode of True Crime Bullshit. And if you guys aren't listening to that, you need to. It is truly an amazing, wonderful show. And it is, hold on, ignore me. It's a truly wonderful show. And his first, who's 8 p.m. Oh, that's me. I don't know who else is after me. I had the list and I just totally forgot. But anyways, the first season of True Crime Bullshit is on Israel Keys. And it is so freaking fascinating. Like, I didn't give a crap at all about Ariel Keys until I listened to Josh do it. And it is so good. And there's two seasons on Israel Keys. And it's really great. He gets a lot of, he has the FBI file and the transcripts and the audio files from Keys' interviews. And he analyzes them. And he even goes to some of those crime scene areas or talks about them because he's also kind of from that area and has friends that have family in that area. So pretty awesome show. It's so good. And then his current season's on Kelly Cochran, which is just, it's such a crazy case for me. I started listening to Vault Studios, Selena, and that one's really good. Listen also to, Chris actually just joined, not Chris. Who's Chris? Oh my God. My cousin. That's who I'm thinking of. Eric, who's here, I think right now from True Consequences. Yes. Also is joining the Get Vocal family for True Crime Thursdays. And he will be here hosting his own as well. You should listen to his show. He focuses on Arizona crime, which is really interesting. And there was an episode that I really liked on the riots, I believe. I have to look in my podcast player because I seriously listen to true crime all the time. And that's another good podcast, True Crime All the Time. All right, you guys. So I'm going to give you your time back because I want to go and head into Josh's, maybe say hi to Charlie. But thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to figure out the Facebook thing eventually. Who knows? And I will see you next week with a new episode. So if you have any suggestions, like I said, just let me know. Tweet me, Facebook me, do whatever you do. I love TCAT. Those are my boys. I love them so much. They're amazing. All right, you guys. So I hope you have a good rest of the evening. Make sure you wash your hands and make good choices. Cheers to you, and I will see you